Aloha mai kako. This is going to be the presentation for the a verb sentence pattern. A verb kind of has the sense of you're commanding someone to do something. It's something's going to be done pretty immediately. A verb, we're kind of familiar with this from past PowerPoints, especially in the brain breaks if you've been following along. E ho ike mai, e kahi. Show me number one. So if we've been keeping up with the videos, we already kind of learned this. This is just to get this more pa'a, a little bit more down. There'll be some kind of grammar tips to help you guys as class moves along, especially as you move along in your Olelo Hawaii journeys. You're going to be looking up words. I'll explain what the little symbols mean in the puke vehe vehe in our dictionary, so that'll help you along. Mai poina na lula, don't forget the rules. E kahi, e ho'olohe, e lua, olelo. Speak as if it's a real class and we're all going in this journey together. Answer the questions, try to answer the questions when I ask them. And with this video, you have the kind of the convenience of pausing the video, having a little bit more time to think, and then continuing it when you have the answer and checking if the answer was right. And then ekolu ho ike ikamau popo ole. Show if you guys have any questions, email me your questions, and then I can get back to you pretty fast. So when you do look up words in the Hawaiian dictionary, we see these signs that if you look in the front of the book, tell you what every single one means. The VI stands for verb intransitive. Some people call them hanapili ole. Some people call them hehele. But these are verbs that do not require anything else to function properly. So holo. You can just holo. You don't need something to help you holo. The holo doesn't really affect anything. Just holo. Holo au, I run. Lele, to fly. When you lele, it's not dependent on anything to complete this action, to fly or to jump. Lele can also mean to jump. Hiamoi, there's nothing really required or that hiamoi needs to affect in order to be successful. Hiamoi, intransitive verbs. Pi'i mauna, to hike. You hike, not dependent on anything. Au, to swim. To swim. Kind of just going swimming. This will kind of be a little bit clearer in the next slide of what I mean. It's not really dependent on something. And don't worry if you didn't know this before. I didn't learn what a verb intransitive verb was until I took Olelo Hawaii. We don't really pay attention to all these classifications in English, but they do affect how we talk in Olelo Hawaii, so they do become important. So the VT in the dictionary stands for verb transitive or a transitive verb. Hanapili, an action that clings onto something else. Pili, to cling onto something. Some people call them hamani. These are verbs that affect other objects, and you need the other objects to kind of complete the verb. So the first one, helu, to read. You helu ikapuke. You read the book. You can't really read nothing. You could read nothing, but to really say that you have read, you have to read something. So in Olelo Hawaii, this becomes important because hanapili, to show that the verb is affecting something. So you're reading the book, it's marked with a E marker. So helu ikapuke. Helu kapuke, the book read. Helu ikapuke, read the book. And this is where it becomes important for the difference between intransitive verbs or hanapili ole and transitive verbs hanapili. Kakao, to rate, gotta rate something, to say that you wrote. Peku, gotta kick something, can't just kick air. kick nothing. But peku I ke kini popo. Ua peku au I ke kini popo, I kick the ball. Oki. You have to cut something. Oki au I ke kaloke. I cut the carrot. Ai. You have to eat something. Ai au I kapoi. I eat the poi. Ai au I kapoi. Nkui, to punch. You have to punch something. Kui au I ko uhoa. I punch my friend. So all of these are kind of dependent on something else in order to complete the verb. But this is, if you do look up words and you see a VI or a VT and you're not too sure what they mean, VT is a verb that affects something else. VI is a verb that doesn't affect something else. So you can just run. No need depend on something else to run or jump or swim. And then VT, you gotta affect something else to complete the verb. Maikai. So this, I'm gonna get to the more ololo Hawaii part. So e ai, oi, I kaia. E ai, oi, I kaia. So e ai, oi, I kaia, go eat the fish. With this A marker in front, you're gonna eat the fish right now. E ai, oi, I kaia, go eat the fish. Sometimes it could be more like of a you should eat the fish. E ai, oi, kaia, you should eat the fish. This oi is in parentheses for you. If you're talking to someone and you're telling them to go do something, you don't have to include the oi. So you could just say, e kimo, e ai kaia. Kimo, go eat the fish. When you put the oi in, you can put the oi in, but if you look at it, it's really not a nice you thing. So if you do put the you in, it comes off a little bit more rude sometimes, especially when you're scolding kids. Like, e puka iwaho, go outside. Puka oi iwaho, get out of here. That you kind of becomes a little bit more aggressive, not really aggressive, but you're really pointing at them. So you don't have to include the you inside of it. They'll know that you're talking to them based off of the context. You're probably talking to them already, so you don't need to put the oi in. E ai oi I kaia. It's kind of like aggressive. E ai kaia. Go eat the fish. Mai kai. So e hele. Kaua. E hele kaua. E hele kaua I hea. E hele kaua I hea. E hele kaua I kahakai. E hele kaua I kahakai. Let's go to the beach. Kaua, usually the things that don't involve oi, you can put them in as pronouns to know that more than one person is going to partake in the action. E hele kaua I kahakai. Let's go to the beach. Hele kaua I kahakai. Or we should go to the beach. E hele kaua I kahakai. Mai kai. If you can see, kahakai doesn't have a little kai. It's not ke kahakai. Usually it drops off before kahakai. So e hele kaua I kahakai. E puka. Oi. If you're being aggressive. E puka iwaho. E puka iwaho. E puka iwaho. Go outside. E puka iwaho. E como. To enter. Oi. Maybe. E como I loko. Como I loko. E como I loko o ke aha. Como I loko ke aha. Como I loko ke aha. E como I loko o ka hale. E como I loko o ka hale. You're gonna be more specific. E como, I loko, o kahale. Go into the house. E como, I loko, o ke ka'a. I loko, o ke ka'a. Go into the car. E como, I loko, o ke ena. I loko, o ke ena. Go into the office. E ho'olele. This is actually a good one. E ho'olele. We probably come into our first instance of a ho'o before something. Ho'o is a prefix that you can add into the front of verbs. So lele, to fly. Ho'olele, to make fly. Ho'o is to make something happen. So lele, to fly. Ho'olele, to make fly. Ikaika, strong. Ho'o ikaika, to make strong. Lohe, lohe is to hear. Alright. Well, lohe, I heard something. Ho'o lohe, to make heard, to listen. I want listen. Ho'o lohe, to listen. Lohe, to hear. Ho'o lohe, actively listening. Maikai. So e ho'o lele, ika moku lele, pepa. Moku lele, pepa. Pepa. So e ho'olele, ika mokulele, pepa. Maikai. So pehea e olelo ai, ike ia. Pehea e olelo ai, ike ia. Maikai e ai ikaia. E ai oi paha. You want to say oi? Be a little bit more direct. E ai oi ikaia. Hiki. It's a little bit more direct, a little bit more scoldy like. But e ai kaia. Go eat a fish. Maikai. So pehea e olelo ai. Don't eat the fish. So you learn how to say eat the fish. But what if, or you should eat the fish. But what if we wanted to say we don't want to eat the fish? So in most cases, in Olelo Hawaii, no is aole. But in this case, it is mai. So mai is like don't. So mai just takes the place of e. So instead of e ai kaia, mai ai ikaia, or mai ai oi ikaia. You don't eat that fish. Mai ai, don't eat. Mai ai. And la pehea e olelo ai, he ia. Mai kai e hele olua I kahakai. E hele o lua I kahakai. Maikai. A pehea e olelo ai ke ia. With the aole. Maikai. Mai hele o lua I kahakai. Na e hele o lua I kahakai. Ai. E hele o lua I kahakai. Mai hele olua I kahakai. Mai hele olua I kahakai. A ole. So mai hele. Nogo. Mai hele. Maikai, maikai. A pehea e olelo ai ke ia. Maikai. E puka I waho. E puka I waho. A pehea e olelo ai ke ia. Mina a ole hana. Maikai, maikai. Mai puka oi I waho. Mai puka oi I waho. E puka oi I waho. Ai puka oi I waho. A mai puka oi I waho. Mai puka oi I waho. Maikai, maikai. A pehea e olelo ai ke ia. Maikai, maikai, e komo I loko o ka hale. Komo I loko ke aha, e komo I loko o ka hale. Maikai, maikai, a pehea ke ia. Pehea e olelo wai ke ia, no ka a ole. No ka a ole, pehea e olelo wai. Maikai, mai. Mai komo I loko o ka hale. Mai komo I loko o ka hale. Maikai, ka mea hope ke ia. Pehea e olelo wai I ke ia. Maikai, e ho'olele I ka mokulele pepa. E ho'olele I ka mokulele pepa. Ka mokulele pepa. Maikai, maikai, a pehea ke ia. Maikai, mai ho'olele oi I ka mokulele pepa. If you teach probably maybe something you say to your students, mai ho'olele o kou I ka mokulele pepa. Mai ho'olele o kou I ka mokulele pepa. Maikai, maikai. I hope that was helpful. If there's any need know, this one was a little bit more of the simple patterns, simple sentences that we can get down. The main thing is the vocab. If we understand the vocab, the sentences become easier to understand. So make sure you guys study the vocab. But if there are any need know, just let me know. Shoot me an email and I'll get back to you. Mahalo. Mahalo I ke ia hui ana. Ahui ho.